We are back!
Home of the prodigal son, young Chad Townsend. And Chad Townsend plays to the whistle, kicks away for Valentine home. Townsend.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Chad Townsend Show. If you're new here, please make sure you do subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. As always, we are presented by our good friends at BearBet. Please make sure you set a deposit limit and gamble responsibly. BearBet, fast payouts, real Aussie service. Make sure you head down to the link in the description below. You'll suss it all out. I'm excited today to introduce our special guest today, a 325-game veteran of the NRL. He won Dally M Centre of the Year twice, played in multiple grand finals, played Origin, played for Australia, and that is Jay Moz. What's been happening, brother?
Very little, Chatty. School's back. I've had the kids for the last 8 weeks, so 3 kids. So basically, during the footy off season, I'm a stay-at-home dad, mate. And these school holidays, they felt like they went forever. So school's finally back. So now golf takes over again.
So you've been retired for a couple of years now. What is life like? You were in retirement after?
So for probably the first year, I kind of went straight onto the tools. I finished my carpentry trade while I was still playing. I was at the Sharkies when I first started that with you, and then continued it on. So I had a couple of mates that were builders, jumped on the tools with them for a while. Got a opportunity to go and do some work with 2GB, the continuous call team. It started off as a shift every now and again, and then they became a bit more frequent, and then signed a contract with them, and I've been with them, this is my 4th year now, so I get to call the footy games and have a bit of fun and still be involved in the game. So first week back of work's in Vegas. So
oh, how good's that? Have you been before?
We've been the last 2 years.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, so it's a good week, but it can be a long week.
Yeah. I'm actually heading over too.
There you go.
Yeah. When are you going over?
You really want to hang out with me in Vegas?
No, I don't. We'll definitely link up though.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, I haven't been I've been to Vegas, but not for the games. But
it's a spectacle.
I'm so keen. Was there anything that I need to?
Well, I think the Fremont Street experience is right up there. The NRL, they take over Fremont Street, and the last couple of years has just been, it's just gotten better and better. You know, the first year they were kind of feeling their way out, and they made mistakes here and there, but they've gotten better. Last year was unbelievable, and I think the fact that they've brought in the English fans as well. Like last year you had the Kiwis as well as the Poms and the Aussies. And you would walk down the streets in Vegas, and there would be jumpers everywhere. And the locals are like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then people would spread word. And I didn't see too many fights or anything like that, because everyone was over there for a good time to watch their team play. But it was just it's just wonderful. And like to sit sideline calling the game, you're in Vegas in Allegiant Stadium. You're like, how good is this? Like, I wish we got an opportunity to play.
Yeah, I know.
To be able to go over there and talk about footy in Vegas is pretty cool as well.
Is there anything like, you just mentioned Fremont Street, is there anything like else must do in Vegas while I'm there?
Well, myself and Wade tried to get a game when we were over there.
Yeah.
But that was the first year. The morning of the game, it was like cyclonic winds. So
right.
I think we got to bed about 4 a.m. and our tee off was about 8. We sat in the club, sat in the clubhouse and went, "Do you want to play?" And we went, "No, not really." We ended up going back to bed.
So it's the big one. I don't know if I've heard Black Creek's the one to get on there.
Yeah, well, we were supposed to play at Barley High, and I think
right.
the NRL had organised it, but you couldn't play in it. Like there was no one out on the course. So I would like to go and play golf in Vegas, but no. Other than that, mate, just go and immerse yourself. Go. Like there's so much to do there. You can walk through, New York, and go and see all these different little bars and pop-up bars. There's hidden bars everywhere in Vegas, and it's just a great.
I love the American culture. I think it's very different, or the sporting culture anyway. It's very different to what we have here in Australia, especially with like college and that. Their draft and all that stuff works. It wouldn't work here, but I'm so keen to get over there and experience it all. And your old teams,
their games go forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. The Super Bowl.
If you don't mind a beer,
Yeah, I know.
you get your money's worth.
Beer and sport.
Yeah, you're going to be there for at least 4 hours. Like I've never been to a baseball game. I don't think I've ever watched a baseball game, but they drag on as well.
Yeah,
so they actually do love their sport. They love being able to sit there and watch it. And the food at the games is pretty good too.
Yeah, bloody oath. Yeah, American food's so good. Mate, you just spoke about 2GB, like obviously doing some radio stuff now, post-footy. You've been retired for how many years now?
21.
21 was the last year?
Year
Yeah.
5.
Year 5.
And welcome to the retirement.
I know, it
club,
feels
mate.
good to be honest. I feel great. And I'm very happy to be out of the game, to be honest with you, playing.
When you're doing those wrestling sessions
especially
and they're trying to
pre-season.
rip your head off and you're just like,
Well, that's
listen,
you, mate. You try to rip my head off all the time.
Tried to break your neck.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, you made me tap out a couple of times. I was like, mate, I know you're
Paul
bigger and
Bronson
stronger and
Cherry.
tougher than I am. But what are some of the things you miss about playing the game of NRL?
I think you miss winning, that winning feeling, obviously, and playing in front of big crowds, the adrenaline that brings. Like it's a pretty hard high to try and get back to. But like you just miss the locker room. You miss the chat with the boys. You miss that closeness of working hard all as one group to try and achieve a goal ultimately. And those good times. You remember the good wins, but you remember what it was like hanging around the boys during that, and you miss footy trips away as well.
Yeah, because I'm fresh out of it, so
that structure,
Yeah.
you do miss the structure for sure.
And that's the thing I've tried to get now. It's like ultimately I've still tried to build a routine, like a weekly routine, and trying to, we talked about golf before, try and play golf on the same day, try and fit some training in, that structure and routine. And I know you can actually see why guys potentially go the other way, like with regards to not handling it as well.
I kind of said to myself, I'm not going to do anything for the first year.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't, I'd had enough, my body had had enough.
Yep.
Like I was
Yep.
just wrecked, and got to about 9 months, I reckon, and I went, rightio, I don't feel healthy. I'm going to get myself back into the gym. And once I got back into that structure of going to the gym and working out, your mental health, your physical health, all that kind of stuff, went back to normal. But I just had been told what to do for so long. I just went, you know what, I'm just going to just do whatever I want, just for a little while.
Because you do for so long, and I know it's kind of hard because I don't feel like people who are outside of professional sport can relate to the mentality or the mental toll that it takes, and being switched on and knowing that, like, hey, I've got to do certain stuff that other people can't do.
At stages, you look back and it is kind of selfish, but that's the kind of mindset you needed to have to be a successful athlete. Like you've got to say no to some things, even if it's not the right thing to do at that stage, And I guess when you have kids, you become a bit more flexible with it. But if you don't have kids, that mindset can be very selfish at times. And I think having kids definitely changed my perspective around football. And it was probably the best thing that happened to me. Yeah,
definitely, 100%. Definitely changed his perspective. But selfish is it's a tough word to sort of say that I am selfish, but you need to be selfish in professional sport, mate. Let's just go through your career, just brief. Like I said at the top, 325 NRL games, like an incredible career. And obviously we were lucky enough to do that with your brother as well, twin brother. And you both had amazing careers. But let's go back to like what was life like for you, both of you boys, as twins growing up. Obviously your old man played footy as well. Like I just assume you guys would have just grown up playing and loving footy.
Yeah, that was basically it, mate. We had footy balls in our hands from the time we were pretty much born. Older brother is 4 years older than us, so football was always in the family. We had Dad we were quite young when Dad retired. He was retired in 1990, and me and Brett were only 4 then, so we didn't remember a lot of his footy, but he did have a tape, and it's on YouTube. If you Google his name, you can see it on YouTube. That's the tape that we used to watch growing up as kids, and we would sit in front of it and just watch it.
Yeah.
Like for hours end on end, and that was me and Brett. Well, we're going to do that one day ourselves. And when people asked us what we wanted to be when we were older, we would always say a footy player, and they're like, well, do you want to be like a doctor or a fireman? No. There was no plan B. It was just always wanted to be a footy player. And at stages, it was tough, obviously, having a dad that succeeded. You know, there were a lot of people questioning, you know, why we were there, if we were there on our own merits, and that was something that me and Brett took personally. And you know, when we finally got to play first grade, it was more about getting out of that shadow and creating our own shadow, and I think we were able to do that.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. And that's like, even on the back of, like, now obviously there's been a lot of father-son combos who've had successful times in the NRL. You know, more recently, obviously, the Clearys have just, you know, father-son, been able to just dominate. And, like, Shane Flanagan and Kyle, like, I feel like Kyle gets a lot of criticism for over the top because his dad's the coach, right? Yeah. And he's getting compared to the Clearys, which is, I think it's fair. Unfair, yeah. But the pressure is, like, I know, and having a son now who, you know, has plays Oztag and footy and all that, it's like, you've sort of lived through it, right? I mean, you've been through that experience. Are you ever, like, now as a father, like, protective of your children in the way that they sort of grow up and sport and their careers, and showing them the way?
My young fella plays soccer. Yeah, he started last year. He's just turned 6, but he's played in soccer again this year. If he wants to play rugby league, he's fine to do that, and I won't pressure him into anything. I want my kids to enjoy sport. I think it's important that they play team sport because definitely, you know, it develops their social skills, being able to work in teams, and there's a lot of benefits to playing, you know, team sport. So I would never say no to him playing any sport, and regardless of what he does, I'm always going to be supportive. And, you know, if I can give him pointers here and there, and I will, but I don't want to be, you know, his harshest critic either. Yeah,
of course, I love that. And because the reason I asked you that is I spoke to Gal about it a couple of weeks ago, and he's obviously young fella's, you know, right into his footy, and obviously his dad's Paul Gallen, right? Yeah. And in some regard, Gal was saying, you know, if he doesn't want to play footy, like, that's totally fine with me, because I know the toll that it takes and what you have to, like, there's so much more good than bad, but the bad at times can be really bad in professional sport. So that's the reason kind of why I asked you. Maybe we'll move on to sort of like your junior career as you progressed. You know, obviously you grew up in Kiama, down South Coast. Then do you remember signing your first contract with the Dragons?
Well, I first rep side I made kind of within that was the SG ball side, the under 18. So I'd been knocked back in the 16s. When I was 17. I was tiny. Like, me and Brett were both tiny. We only, like, got our growth spurt at 18. Yeah. So, but Brett had made it the year before, and I was like, all right, I'm going to train really, really hard while he was out over with the Steelers. I was doing, like, a lot of weights to try and get bigger, and eventually got into that side, and then I think I signed a contract with the Dragons when I was 19. I think it was for $5,000, and I was like, yes, this is the best ever. These days the kids are getting like 300,000, half a million. Mate. Like, it's just that. Yeah. And I guess that's the kind of difference between now and when I signed. You got paid on what you delivered. Yeah. It wasn't on potential. These days, a lot of kids are getting paid on potential. And it's very dangerous. I feel like it almost needs to go back to that. To that, you know, what they've done, and then, you know, scale it back, and then you probably won't get any issues with your salary cap, because you're not paying it for potential. That's where I think that clubs get themselves into trouble. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I definitely resonate with that. I know I never got paid on potential. I had to earn everything I got. And it makes it feel better. Yeah, 100%. But you're talking about your first contract, like $5,000, and you would have had like the smile ear to ear. And obviously, like, times have changed. I think I bought a Toyota Camry. It's called the Red Rocket. By the time we'd finished with it, handbrake. So who, out of your brother and yourself, who signed the contract first? Like, was it the same thing? I think it was the same time. Yeah. And were you both like centre wing then? Like, what positions were you? Brett was fullback. And then I was kind of on the wing, and then but I'd played all centres all through my, like, junior career. So yeah, I just had to bide my time on the wing until I got
Yep.
a chance at the centres.
Yep, and obviously as you spoke about SG Ball, obviously the progression back in the day, obviously went sort of Jersey Flag, Premier League, and
Yep.
similar to what it is today. But tell me about as you progress through the grades, and then who made their debuts first out of you and your brother?
Yeah, so in 2005 we played Jersey Flag together. We won the comp that year. That was the first year that St George and Illawarra had joined.
You're right.
So Steve Price
was just
was
about
our
to say, I thought
coach.
Pricey was the coach, yeah.
And he had a pretty tough job to do, to be honest, because we hated each other. St George hated Illawarra. We weren't joined for up until that year. So at the start of the preseason, blokes were having fights in the gym.
Really?
Like it was, and it was just a hole. We used to train 2 days at Cars Park in over near Cogra there, and then we trained 2 days in Wollongong. And Pricey was like, "How do I get these boys to gel?" And we had that many bonding sessions. Like it felt like every Saturday we were all together. And by the end of the season, we'd won the comp, and everyone was best mates. We had our 20-year reunion last year, and I think 25 blokes showed up.
So good.
Some blokes come from Melbourne, Gold Coast, Central Queensland, and that's just a sign of how tight we were as a team. So 2005 we won that. 2006 a lot of us went up to Premier League. I was still 20, so I think I played the first round in Flag, and then went up to Premier League, and Pricey was the coach in Premier League as well. Ended up playing the whole year there, and Brett was playing, and then debuted in 06. So he debuted, I think, about round 10 or 11, and then played for the rest of the year, and then I debuted in 07.
Yeah.
So
remember your debut? Remember when you found out how you?
Remember debut was the Titans' first ever game in the comp. So
right, I remember that game on the Gold Coast.
Yes, and there was a Sunday at Suncorp.
Bailey, Scotty Prince, Matty Rogers, Preston Campbell.
There was close to 50,000 there.
It was a daytime game too. I remember watching that game.
I debuted as a fullback. I was 89 kilos, ring and wet. I was a bit smaller, but I debuted as a fullback. So I played my first year in first grade as a fullback.
Yeah, right.
And then played one game in 08, and then got shifted to the wing because we lost. And then in 08 kind of went between centre and wing, and then opportunity came up to play centre regularly with the Dogs, and moved there in 09.
Well, that was my next question, because obviously when I look across your career, I think of you probably as a dog, as a bulldog. Obviously, you played majority of your career there, but you just mentioned, was it more opportunity for you to play in the centres? Is that the reason as to why you made the switch from Dragons to the Dogs?
Yeah, that was the main reason. I mean, I had two pretty good centres in front of me, Matt Cooper and Mark Gasnier, and the Dogs, they were struggling at that stage. They ended up winning the Wooden Spoon that year, but Steve Folkes had been sacked. Kevin Moore was coming in, and I had a meeting with Kevin Moore, and he kind of said, "Listen, I think you're a left centre. If you come here," he goes, "the first 50 games you won't be dropped. I want you to develop into a centre, and I really think you're suited to this team, and I think you can, really help us out and get us back up to the top." And it was a really, really positive conversation, and I kind of went back and signed pretty much the week after, and then about a month later, Gaz went to France, and then they tried to get me back, and I said, "Oh, well, you didn't want me a month ago. You can't have me now." So
was it a tough move? With knowing obviously your brother was staying at the Dragons?
Oh yeah, I was obviously heartbroken at the time. I was Kai, I'm a local, loved the Dragons my whole life. So, but that was kind of probably a good thing, because I realised that football is a business. And you've got to look after yourself. So I learnt that lesson very early on, and it was probably a good thing. And then that 09 I went to the Doggies. We made the prelim final that year, had a really good year. Got Dally M Centre of the Year, and played for New South Wales and Australia. So my decision in my own head was justified.
And your time at the Dogs, like I said, the most time of your career was at the Dogs. You guys had such a successful era there at the Dogs, especially, obviously yourself. Some of the other names that pop to mind, in the Dogs: James Graham, Ben Barber, Michael Ennis, Greg Eastwood, Frank Pritchard, Who else am I missing? Like, that era.
Well, we had Josh Reynolds.
Josh
Trent
Reynolds
Hopkinson
as well, Hocko.
Yeah.
That era, you guys made 2 grand finals, but were unable to unable to win one. Tell me about that era and that team, and because looking from the outside, it was like you used to see the signs like Dogs of War, and you guys really had it going in that era of the Bulldogs, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh, look, I think the in 09 there were probably 7 or 8 of us that came across. And they were all pretty much family kind of orientated blokes, and you had Mick Ennis, you had Ben Hannett, Michael Hodgson, David Stagg, Greg Eastwood, these types of blokes, and you sprinkle that in with Brett Kamali, who was there, Andrew Ryan, Luke Patton, those type of blokes. But the one thing about the Bulldogs, and they've always done that, was train hard. Like the pre-seasons were brutal, and you knew if you got through the pre-season that you were going to be fit enough to play. In 09, they'd come off the back of the wooden spoon, so no one really gave us a real chance, and we just played a really exciting brand of football.
Yep.
And obviously made it the prelim. We lost General in the first minute, and that was when Jared Hayden was on his big run, and they ended up beating us in that game. But if we'd played the Storm, who knows what could happen, because we'd beaten them twice that year.
Yeah.
So
it was a good matchup when you guys played the Storm at that.
Yeah,
it
was
era.
always a really good contest there. But so 10 and 11, we kind of had mediocre seasons. We kind of thought it was going to happen, and it didn't. And Kevin Moore was shown the door. Jimmy Dimmick came in as caretaker, and then I was over with the Australian team on a tour, and I was in Berlin, and Chocky Watmow was walking through the hotel foyer, and he had the shits, and I go, "What's the matter, mate?" He goes, "You just stole our coach." And I was like, "What?" I had no idea, and he was filthy because they just won the comp.
Yeah.
So, mate, we got Des, and then instantly when Des came over, he brought this, this culture, this professionalism, and we're able to, all this. He had all this science stuff backed, and all this other stuff, but we were able to, go on a bit of a tear there, and we made the grand final in 12. And that one hurt more than 14, because I thought we were the better side, but we just got outplayed on the day. 14 was a bit of a different story. We kind of had an injury riddled season, but like Des was like, we just need to get to the finals. If we get to the finals, I'm telling you, we'll be fine. We finished in 7th. We had to go down to Melbourne to play down there, and we ended up beating them by 30. That was when second played 7th. So we beat them. Then I think we beat Manly and Golden Point, and then played Penrith to get in the grand final. We lost Mick in that game, who was our skipper at that stage, and you know what type of bloke Mick is. He was a huge loss there. And then we had a couple of other injuries that week, and then leading into the grand final, and we were competitive for 60 minutes, but South ran away with it in the end, and they were the better side. So look, we had a lot of success, but it would have been nice to get a ring there, but it just wasn't to be.
Tell me more about Des. You just spoke to him about he's obviously been called the mad scientist and that for a long time, and obviously just got shown the door by the Titans more recently. I don't know Des. I've been a big admirer of his coaching career for a long time. He obviously looks like a very hard man. You see some of those highlights of when he used to coach Manly, when he's knocking the doors down and things like that. Tell me more about what's the real Des like.
He's very, very funny. He's very, very funny. He's got a very dry sense of humour, and I guess it's not something that the young fellas get. It's more the older blokes get.
Of course, yeah.
And so he'll say something to one of the young fellas and try and play a joke on him, and they'll just look at him, and all the older blokes will be laughing their head off, and he'll just wink at you and carry on. But no, he's very, very protective of his players, very, very loyal. He works extremely hard. Like, I don't think anyone ever beat him into the office, and he was always the last to leave. Massive tight ass. Like, if
he wouldn't be short of a coin.
If one of the boys. He had a house on Collaroy Beach, I think, and he had to leave one day when they had the big surf because he thought his house was going to get washed away. We're like, that's what you get for living on the beach.
Oh.
But no, if a coin fell out of someone's pocket, he'd scoop it up. And, but no, he was good. And I think one of the funniest stories was when he's his daughter's dog needed 2 ACL replacements and it was going to cost him a fortune. He come into training and had the shits and we're like, what's the matter, mate? He's like, do you know how much it costs for an ACL?
For a dog.
For a dog. Mate, we were all laughing our head off.
Jesus,
but no,
hilarious.
he was my favourite coach. He did a lot for me, and just his game plans as well, how in detail and in depth his game plans were. You felt like you knew the opposition better than themselves. So that would give you a whole level of confidence walking out there against the opposition.
Yeah, I love that. Tell me about when your brother Brett left the Dragons and signed with the Dogs. Obviously, I assume you were in the background working on recruitment and trying to get him over with the club.
No way.
How did that happen, that process? Tell me about that.
Well, look, I think Brett was probably their best player, and I don't think he was getting treated right. And I just said, you're probably not getting paid what you should, and if there's an opportunity to come across, would you come across? And, it kind of happened from there, and I just think that they just didn't look after him well enough, and he kind of saw that and ended up coming across to the Dogs.
Because obviously, playing back again with your brother, your twin brother, it's a pretty big draw card.
Yeah, definitely, and I think there were stages where we wish we could have stayed together for longer, but I also think that going apart from each other made us play better, because the only way we would play together would be in rep sides. It spurred us on to be the best and to try and get in those rep sides to play alongside one another.
Is there anyone from that Dogs era who you think back and look on and just you think to yourself geez, it was an absolute pleasure to play with this person?
Oh, look, I think there's a few.
Yeah.
I think there's a few. I think, blokes like Luke Patton, Andrew Ryan, those blokes were Bulldogs through and through. I got to play with Hazem as well, and saw the amount of respect that he had from the Bulldogs community. Like his last game, there was 10,000 people at the Leagues Club to see him off. That's the type of player he was. Blokes like Mick, I loved playing alongside him. He was probably my favourite captain. His pre-game speeches were pretty epic.
So good.
Blokes like Josh Reynolds, Hocko, they were my really good mates.
Yeah.
And, James Graham was always fun. The amount of arguments we used to get in at training in a pose because something would happen. And he'd blame me, and I'd go, mate.
He was fired up in his Dogs era. I remember the time when he used to point
centers. He hates centres.
Hates centres.
Absolutely hates centres.
I haven't heard of many people who hate centres. I mean, I've heard a lot of people who hate wingers, but not centres.
He goes, you don't do anything. You don't take the early carries. I'm like, mate, yes we do. When we're there, we take them. He goes, you don't do anything out there. I said, mate, listen, if I get it wrong, they score. You've got 2 people on either side of you, and you have to move 5 metres just to give it to him.
So tell me a bit more about Jimmy Graham. What was his personality like? Was he always on, very intense, or did he ever could he switch off at all?
No, he could. He could switch off, but he's very firm in his beliefs and the way he trained and stuff like that. But you knew, once he got across that line, he wasn't going to die wondering, and he wasn't going to leave any stone unturned. And he was certainly a great teammate.
Yeah, no, I saw him. I was running on the S-Bahn the other day, and I saw he ran past him and just a face covered in zinc, so he's still getting after it.
Mate, the zinc.
The Aussie sun.
Mate, he had zinc. He'd have zinc on at 6 o'clock at night at the start of the season. Yeah. And then I don't know if you remember, he used to have the Vaseline.
I do remember that.
He had to stop doing it once.
Did he get warned by the NRL?
Well, I think he did, but once Nate Miles got the clump of it and just rubbed it straight in his eye.
How good was that?
I think he just went, okay, that's enough. So I think it changed from Vaseline to deep heat. So the next person that tried it all would have copped some in the eye.
I love that. Anything to win. We spoke about before, a little bit earlier, about the business of the game. And that sort of takes me into the next question I have for you with the next phase of your career. You leave the Bulldogs and you come across to the Sharks, which obviously delighted me to get someone of your calibre on our roster and in our team. But tell me about the process of leaving the Dogs. Did they want to keep you, or did they have nothing for you? How did that play out?
Yeah, well, basically, I've been there for 10 years. Dean Pay was the coach, and there were tough times, obviously. He's a young up-and-coming coach. He'd been under a number of great coaches, but we just weren't seeing results, and obviously they had salary cap issues. Basically came down to they didn't have anything to offer me. They said, we can't give you an offer that's respectful enough, so we're not going to bother.
Yep.
So you're going to have to go. So
Yeah.
and that's fair enough. Like, I'd rather them say that to me than string me along and wait till last minute and then go no. So there are a couple of opportunities. I could have went to Gold Coast, Super League. I could have went over to Warrington. Pricey was the coach there. He wanted me to come over there, but ultimately it just fit in well. The Sharks, they came into the picture, and you know where I live. It's not far from training. I had a young daughter then at that stage, and it just worked. It was easy, and it was probably the best thing for me. I think the change actually, having to step out and be uncomfortable again, and make new friends, train hard again, and earn the boys' respect. I think that was something that I really enjoyed, and it just gave me a new lease. And that Sharks season, we had a good season. But it was just...
And you got back in the Origin team
got
that
back
year,
into the
which was a
Origin
massive...
team.
I still remember that time in the sheds, actually, when you found out, or everyone found out, we were celebrating at Wynn Stadium. That was a cool moment, hey?
It was. It was cool, and to see the boys' reactions and what it meant to them, and it obviously made me feel a part of the team as well. So that was a great moment, and and to be able to actually play a season alongside someone like Gal as well, who I'd admired my whole career, that was pretty special too. Yeah,
it was a great time. I still look back at one of them, probably the most enjoyable seasons I had, that 2019 year, because we were kind of going through a transition phase at the Sharks where we'd obviously won a couple of years prior. A lot of our senior guys had sort of moved on or retired. We were able to bring in someone like yourself and add a bit of experience. Obviously, Gow was on the back end of his career. No one really gave us a chance in winning the comp, but we actually played some really good football and won some really good games. And then you left us, basically, which I was absolutely filthy about. I remember this process, how it all came about. John Morris, who was coach, and obviously you had an opportunity to go over to the Roosters, and we're pretty keen to take that on. And I was like, no, I just didn't want. I was kept saying, "Well, man, we have to keep him. We have to keep him. Do anything you can to keep him." And then ultimately,
the issue was the salary cap, wasn't it? And points. And what I didn't even know as well was, when I first went in and asked for a release, the club said no, not happening. And then my manager went back and had a look at his emails, and the club had asked I think I asked for the release in January.
Yeah.
The club had sent an email to him in November, I think it was, saying that I had permission to go and look elsewhere, which I didn't even know about. And then he got it and went, hang on a second, it's a bit hypocritical. You wanted him to go elsewhere. Yep. But it did end up coming down to, if I'd stayed, we would have been over the salary cap after like round 5 or something, and then wouldn't have been playing for points. So someone had to go. And it just so happened that obviously the Roosters were looking for someone. And look, like I've said this to people all along, it wasn't for money. It was to play alongside Brett.
Of course, that was the thing, right?
I lived 5 minutes down the road. It was actually easier for me to stay.
And that was the thing for me. It was like, I selfishly wanted you to be still in our team, because I knew obviously we were hanging out a fair bit, and I knew you added so much to our team, but I was like, man, how can you actually not let that happen? You know what I mean? And that opportunity again to reunite with your brother, to finish ultimately your guys' career, turned out to be a good way for you guys to finish.
The funny thing was, so I got the release in round 2. They tried to negotiate to round 5, and we're like, that's just weird. Like, even to play 2 games though, when you go on something, is weird. So it got to 2 games, and then I think we played the Storm our last game, and then I went into training on the Monday, met all the boys, and that was COVID.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you all.
Yeah, I know.
Don't know if I'm going to see you ever again. Don't even know if the game's going to continue.
Oh.
So, I think it was for like the 8 weeks, me and Brett got to train with each other at the local oval at Lillipilly.
I used to see you down there.
Yeah. And mate,
used to run on the one side of the
mate,
field, I used to run on the other.
we trained very, very hard. He got me fit and I got him strong.
Yeah.
And when we came back, the result showed, because
Yeah.
we had a wonderful season in 20. We were probably unlucky in the fact that we had a lot of injuries as well, and same story in 21.
Yeah.
There were just too many injuries to be competitive at the back end of this season.
So what about your time at the Roosters? Obviously, I was lucky enough to obviously just spend a year inside those four walls, and although I knew kind of where I was at with my career, it was still a really good opportunity for me to see how a club like that works.
Yeah.
Some of my takeaways from my time at the Roosters were like, gosh, they train hard. They are so physical. Everything is like they just want to bash everyone. Front door mentality. We'll beat you up. Robbo, very, very detailed. And ultimately it was like you can see why this team have been successful for a long period of time. What are some of the things you sort of took away from your years finishing there?
Yeah, I think, like you said, their training, their D2 sessions 2 days before a game, it was like a game. I remember Boydie Cordner just running straight over people. I'm like,
so physical.
And some blokes couldn't play because they got knocked out in the D2 session. Like, it was just, and I was like, okay, I can see why they're so successful. Like, you had Lindsay Collins trying to get the better of Jared.
Yeah.
Those and Satili Tupanoa, these young fellas coming through trying to, stake their claim as well.
Of course.
And if you could do that in that side, well, then you're going to be successful. And I guess I remember when I first got there, just looking around the room, like I was a senior player at the Sharks, I was a senior player at the Dogs, and you're sitting in the room there and you've got all these senior players and you're like, okay, I kind of don't feel like I'm, worthy to be in that group. Because there were so many of them. And again, had to step out of the comfort zone and train hard and prove myself to those boys as well. And they are super professional. I think the way the club is run, you have a look at their board. Nick's the chairman, and he has the final say on everything. There's no infighting, no leaks, nothing really comes out. In terms of their football, they've got the Roosters way. Like you said, they know how they want to play. They don't really change it. And it's built on a foundation that you build during the pre-season. You add those blocks each week, and then you get to the season and you keep building that. As Robbo would say, you keep building that house and that wall, that house, and they had a style that they just didn't really change it, and it's been successful for them.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you have a look at their season last year. The amount of young kids they've been at. Like I thought their rebuild was going to be longer than what it is.
Of course.
What it was. Like I thought
rebuild
last year was
inside the 8.
I thought it was they exceeded. I think their standards, they'll be even higher this year.
Yeah, and we'll get to a bit more questions around the Roosters in 2026 just shortly. But tell me about your decision to retire from the game. Tell me about that process. Was there a time where you went into your last season and you knew, or there was just one occasion where you were like, nah, this is it, I'm done? Tell me about that, how you come across the decision. Because for me, I've obviously just lived it. Like, it was pretty confronting for me.
No, like I think me and Brett had a number of conversations. We used to travel in and to train and every day, and it was just like, basically, how's the body feeling? Like, how do you feel? Like, what's your headspace around training and stuff like that? And it was just like, even pre-season, like it would take, a day or two to get over some of the sessions, and you're like, I can't do this for another. I can't do it again. I can't do another pre-season. Like that's what it came down to. Like, I could play, no problem, could play, but I could not do another pre-season. Like, even the wrestling sessions, getting up and down off the ground constantly, like that was just starting to take its toll. And like I said, you train against these young blokes, and they're just throwing you around. You're just like, I'm too old.
Self-preservation.
I'm too old for this shit. I mean, I was 30 or 35. I mean, I've given it a good night. Like, if I had regrets, like, I would have probably played on a year, but I'd done everything I possibly could. I'd pretty much, like you say, you squeeze every drop of talent out. I'd well and truly done that, and I was happy to move on and start the next chapter of my life. So I think it was a pretty easy decision. And like you said, you go through stages where you miss it here and there, but I just know that I wouldn't have been able to play another year, and you don't want to ruin that either. You don't want to go, geez, I should have quit when I was ahead.
Yeah.
So,
I love the fact that you said, like, I remember you telling me actually when you, like, the pressure just falls off your shoulders, the weight of the world just drops off your shoulders when you make the decision when you retire. But also, like, and I feel like I was in a very similar situation with regards to I had done everything I possibly could in the game. I gave it everything I had, and that was, like, really comforting for me to know that, hey, I'm retired.
And also, if you're pretty smart and savvy with your money and doing this stuff as well, like, you know where your future is as well.
Yeah.
And, like, you can take comfort in knowing that football's not the end all and be all, I guess, I knew I was going to go and jump on the tools, and I was happy with that. Some people go, oh, you played footy for 15 years and now you want to get on the tools. And I was like, well, that's what I want to do. I want to go and work hard on the tools and have a bit of fun with my mates. And didn't last long. But
no, that's good. I love that because it doesn't always happen like that, right? Because some guys, don't do that. The average games are 40 games, in the NRL, and not everyone plays 10 plus years in the NRL. So your longevity you spoke about, like earning it year on year, and that's the thing that you've got to do in the NRL to have a long career. You can't really worry or rely on what you did last year or the previous year. I quickly want to touch on your rep career. Obviously, New South Wales Origin. 14 games for New South Wales, 15 games for New South Wales, 6 games for six for Australia, and obviously 2014 series victory.
Yeah, and then I played in 19.
And then you played in 19, the one game. So tell me about that era of state of origin and playing against that Queensland team, and obviously the series victory in 2014.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was tough. It was a tough period for New South Wales. I mean, as I didn't play in all those 8 series losses, but as a player, you felt it. You felt that weight. I debuted in 2009, and then 10-11 I missed through injury, and then in 12, Ricky Stewart was the coach. If you go and watch Game 3, we lost. Cooper Crump kicked that field goal, but we probably should have won that game as well.
Yeah.
And that was the thing about it. Like, we lost all these games by like field goals, or 1 or 2 points, and we're playing against the Queensland side that is going to have probably 2 or 3 immortals. Some of them are already Hall of Famers. You're like, we just needed a bit of luck here and there, but it just seemed to never get it. It always seemed to go their way. And in 2014, we just made a pact to ourselves that first game up at Suncorp, which was the 100th game in Origin, and the Queenslanders had retired Arthur Beetson's jersey. They said they were going to play for Arthur. We said, what, we've got to do whatever it takes to beat this side. If we can beat them up there, because they had 2 games up there.
Yep.
If we could beat them in the first game, get it back to Sydney, we knew that we stood a chance of winning. And that game, 14, was probably one of the toughest games that we'd all played. Brett obviously hurt his shoulder. I hurt my knee in that game.
That the one where the highlight of the shoulder, him running back,
and then Brett makes a try saving tackle to win us the game, pretty much with his busted shoulder. So Chocky Watmia tore his bicep in that game, and Bo Scott collapsed of exhaustion after the game, and it was like a hospital. There were blokes laying all over the floor after the game, ice packs everywhere, and I think it took about 15 minutes for Laurie to deliver his actual end-of-game speech because everyone was just off their feet. But it was the best feeling in the world. We knew that we'd done something that was really tough to do, get them up there, and then to go back into Sydney and get the job done. That was pretty special.
What about your games for Australia? Obviously, you played in World Cups
Yep.
among others as well. Like went on tours, like playing with the best of the best. Obviously, done it with your brother as well. Tell me about those experiences playing with some of the the best teams in the world.
Yeah, look, I went on.
I'm sure you would have had some fun.
I went on 3 tours, and I was an emu for all 3 of them.
Yeah, there you go.
I think I ended up owing Australian rugby league money when I took the time.
Tell the people what the emus are.
Well, the emus are they're the Australian kangaroos, and on the shield there's the emu and the kangaroo. So the emus are the blokes that don't get picked, and normally on the Tuesday they announce the side, and after that, those blokes that are emus, they pretty much go out for the rest of the week. You still train, you train in the morning, but you're done by lunchtime. So
some of the best stories I've heard are about
you're in a different part of the world, so you go explore and you leave at lunchtime and get back at midnight.
Bit of connection together.
Yeah, lots of connection together. But I was seeing London. We went to Leeds for some, Manchester. Spent a bit of time in Dublin. We actually went to Berlin one time as a team. That was pretty weird. But no, to be even in the company of some of those players and watch them go about their business, how they trained and performed, you could see why they were so good at what they did. That just success. I didn't lose a game while I was playing for the Australian side. I was glad I got to play a couple of tests on Aussie soil as well. I played a game in Townsville, and I played an Anzac test in Sydney. So family came to watch those ones, but I played the other 4 tests over in England, and I debuted in France actually. That was a pretty wild experience. I played over in Ireland as well. So just great memories. Like I said, the tours. If you're a player these days and you want to, the tours are where it's at. You want to be on those tours. They're great fun.
Yeah, bloody yeah. Hey, before we get on to some more current stuff about today's game, I want to, for me, watching you and playing against you over the course of your career, you were one of the best defensive centres I ever played with and against. I just remember when we would attack you, you were kind of like bluffing with me every time. I wouldn't know what you were doing, this and that. What advice would you give to a centre? Because like one-on-one defensively, like making a one-on-one tackles as a centre, to me is like one of the most important aspects of your game. What advice would you give to a centre about defending in the centres, whether you're making reads or whether you're making one-on-one tackles?
I guess, like you said, I was bluffing a lot of the time. You don't want to give the opposition the decision. You want them to make it. So how do you do that? You offer different looks to them, but then you always keep yourself square in the line. You might feint to go in a little bit and then go back to square. So you're trying to give them cues to play, but you're not ultimately giving them the decision. You're going to have to try and make them do it themselves. A lot of it was communication. A lot of it was having a loud voice. So my half would hear, my winger would hear, and it was kind of nominating. If we were going to do something, I would be the one telling you what we were going to do, and then we would pull the trigger, and everyone would be doing the same thing. In terms of defending one-on-one, and for a young centre, I would say always keep your hands up and keep your feet moving. As soon as you plant your feet, you're going to be in trouble, and if you get your hands up, anytime there's a fend coming or something like that, you can knock it down. So... but I think the one thing I prided myself on was my communication. I think when people get tired, the first thing that goes is the communication. So under fatigue, I just made sure that I was one of the best communicators, and that gave confidence to the players around me.
Yeah, love that. Hey mate, let's move on to some of the more current state of the game at the moment. Obviously, the news coming out this week, like Payne Haas, man,
they've done well to keep.
How good to keep it under wraps. What did you make? How did you find? Where did you find out? What did you make of the whole situation?
I thought it was like it's one of those things you see, and it's like, it's not April yet. Like, this is April Fool's Day, like. To get it done in this day and age and keep it so quiet, that's definitely I think that's a Wayne thing for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a huge signing for them. They automatically go, to premiership contention with a player like Payne Haas, and it makes it even more interesting day for Fafita signing as well.
Yeah.
Like, if they can get the best out of him, they're going to have two of the most destructive forwards out on the field. I just wonder what's going to be happening with their halves as well.
Yep,
You know,
definitely.
Cody's there this year. I'm not sure if he's there next year, but you saw his year last year. He was interrupted with soft tissue
He's gonna be
injuries
older,
as well.
Cody as well, yeah.
Yeah, I think he had a hammy last year, had a calf as
Calves,
well.
yeah.
They've got,
Yeah.
I think, Bud Sullivan and
Humphreys
young
as well.
Humphreys there.
Yeah.
Do they go looking for someone to replace Cody?
Yep.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, if they've got a forward pack like Later Foundation, I guess you can get away with that. But they may go looking for a half. But they certainly, that's a great side.
Yeah.
Like that, I think all the players would be looking forward to getting him there as soon as possible.
The thing that's interesting to me is like, I spoke to Michael Carianis who broke the story on the Daily Telegraph, and it's like, it's not a cap issue for them. It's like when guys left Penrith. Like Jerome Luai left Penrith.
when you win premierships, because you get paid as a premiership player.
He got paid, right? Payne Haas would have got whatever he wanted at the Brisbane Broncos.
Oh yeah.
So whether it's 1.2 or whatever it is, he would have got paid out at the Broncos, and I don't know how much more he's getting at South, but the difference wouldn't be that much at all, in my opinion. So it's like interesting to hear. I can't wait to hear what he says as to reasons why he's made this move.
It's a big. He's originally from Sydney though, so
yeah, I think he grew up in Newcastle, but obviously New South Wales.
Yeah,
you know, so
I'm
all for it, mate.
It may have something to do with family. We don't know until he comes out, but it was certainly a off the cuff signing that no one saw coming. So.
Yeah.
It adds that spice to it for sure.
What about the new rules?
Well, I'm glad they didn't do the kickoff.
Yeah,
that was stupidest. Like when someone asked me about that rule, I'm like, "Are you serious?" Yeah. Oh, yeah. We just got scored against. We'll kick it back to them. No worries. Yeah.
So, is there a situation in the game where if you conceded a try, that you're making the choice to kick off?
No,
never.
No,
yeah, that's what I said.
If you're not good enough to keep them out, you don't deserve to, hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
Have respect for the footy. Defend better.
Defend the whole line, yeah.
I just don't understand it. And I think that was one of the silliest ones. And the 6 again rule kind of irks me.
Yeah.
It does, because I feel like the referees can give it away without consequence as well. I almost was hoping that they would almost get rid of it inside the 20 and start blowing penalties again, and then that way, if you get 3 or 4 penalties quick, then someone's going to go because they're going to blow up and teams are going to start taking points again.
They want to speed up the game.
I know they want. But that's the thing. There's a fine balance between the game being touch football and the game being rugby league.
Yeah.
If it gets too fast, the players won't be able to sustain it. You're going to see injuries, and you might see more blowout scores again.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even like Adam Fanua-Blake the other day came out and said he's concerned about big men in the game and.
Well, you have a look. There's not that many anymore.
Obviously, Nelson's just left the game.
Yeah.
It's going to be. You can't just this game. I don't know how far you can keep pushing the speed of the game. I'm very much like you. I played 3/4 of my career without the 6 again rule. And when it came in, it was like. Mate, I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I like the no 6 again, but obviously it is what it is. What about the 6-man bench? There's been a lot of talk around that. How do you see that playing out? Do you think you see more specialist guys, potentially a half, genuine half, fullback guys? You think it's a good thing, a bad thing? Where you're at now?
I still think you'll probably see a bloke that can play in the forwards in all the positions, and you'll see a back that can play in the majority of the positions. I guess if you have that back that can play in the halves or fullback, then you cover yourself there. If they have to jump in the centres, they have to jump in the centres. But more often than not, the back rowers know how to play centre these days as well.
Yeah.
So, I think it's good that it allows them to have a forward and a back on the bench so that they can cover that. Teams will start planning for that, and you'll see it. So, I think it is smarter having a 2-man extended bench than one.
What about we're going to get into just a quick chat about all the teams you played for over the course of your career. Who do you support now? Do you have to pick
Doggies.
One? Doggies.
Well, I'm a life member at the Doggies, mate.
So right, there you go.
Spent 10 years there.
Doggies.
And look, like I said, they've gone through some hard times. They're starting to see the benefit now, and you got to see over the last couple of years what they've built and what they've created, and the fans have come back out.
Of course, they've awoken the Dogs fans.
When the dogs are going well, the NRL's going well, because the fan support that they get and generate is great for the game. And I really like their new look logo, and I think you've seen it now on a couple of the American style footy jumpers. I think they'll take them over to America and they'll sell like hotcakes.
What about Ciro Camisarello? I'm a big fan of Ciro. I really like his the way he goes about his business, and I know like last year was probably a tough year for them, the way that they ended. But what's your take on Ciro and his jobs that he's done so far?
Yeah, I think he's doing a great job. I think he's got that belief amongst the squad. They all trust him. He's still very, very young in his career, but he's doing some great things. Obviously had success at Penrith and know what that looks like, and he's been able to, I think the recruitment of Stephen Crichton, bringing him along, and what he's been able to do with that group. Obviously it was a disappointing end for them last year, but there was a lot of talk around Galvin. I think that's disappeared kind of over the off-season, which is a good thing for him. He's only a young kid, and I think they'll have that all sorted by the start of the year. So I think all that kind of talk about the spine and everything will disappear, and they can just get on with it again.
There's a lot more clarity this year, I feel. Obviously they made some pretty big decisions last year, bringing Galvin in. Reid Marnie's minutes kind of got set back, then he was out of the team. He's left now. Now I feel like you just know. Obviously, Bailey Hayward has done a great job since he's come in. He's going to be a hooker. You've got Galvin and Burton in the halves. There's still some questions about who's, is Galvin a 7 or is he a 6? And Burton, they'll get time to sort of figure that out. Yeah. Where do you see them finish? Do you feel like they're inside the top 4? I haven't done like my predicted ladder yet. I genuinely feel like this is a top 4 team at this stage. I feel like they are. Defensively,
defensively, I think they're in the top 4. The attack is the issue. Obviously, we saw that towards the back end of the year. Yeah. If their attack is on, well, then they are a top 4 side. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I agree with you there. What about the Roosters? Obviously, some big off-season signings. Cherry Evans, Robson, who's gone under the radar as well. You can add 2 guys with, a lot of rep football experience to a side that has just introduced some youngsters last year who have come on. Robert Toyer's one, Celeste Foketi, Blake Steep, another one. Obviously, Mark Nwangani Tawase. The list goes on of guys who just did a job for them last year. How do you see the Roosters playing out in?
Well, like I said, I think last year they exceeded my expectations for sure, and they probably exceeded a lot of people's expectations. These young kids that came up to play did a wonderful job, and they've got another pre-season under the belt. The way that they train, like you spoke about, that you add on Cherry Evans with his game management, and that kind of frees up Sam Walker to do his. He doesn't have to play structured. He can just get the ball whenever he wants, and who knows what he'll do. He'll come up with some bits of brilliance throughout the match. And like you said, Reece Robson, he was one of the Blues' best last year. So I think they're primed for a massive season. If they can stay injury free, they could be a top 4 side as well. Yeah, I agree. I genuinely feel like they could win the comp if they have a good season at all. Well, they're losing Gus at the end of the year and Marky Mark as well. Those blokes have certainly got something to play for. Yeah. What about DCE just quickly? Like, do you think he's pretty old, DCE? Like, he's been around the game a long time. Do you think there's do you think he's under a bit of pressure, or do you think he's sort of built for this? It's obviously spent his whole career at Manly. It's a pretty big challenge for him this year to come into a team who has their own set ways of how they play. They're very physical. I think it is, but I think he knows what he's there for. Yeah, I agree. They wouldn't have sugarcoated it. Like, you're here to win us a premiership. Yeah. Like, so whatever that takes or how that looks, you need to figure it out, and you need to lead this team around, and he's done it with Manly for the last 10 years. So I don't think he's under any illusion of what his job's going to be, and he's a smart player. He knows when to come in and out of the games. He can hide himself in defence as well, and he's good at that, and his kicking game's one of the best as well still. So I think he's a benefit for their side. Yeah, I agree. I'm really keen to see how it all works out, to be honest, and Sam Walker and the dynamic between him and Cherry and Robson, and
I think they'll be there or thereabouts come the end of the year. What about the Sharks, mate? Sharks have a lot of players off contract this year. Kennedy, Ramian, Big Braids, Cameron Kinnis as well. A lot of people are saying like this is their chance, this is their window. They're not going to be able to probably. Sione Katola's another one. Sorry, I don't think they're going to be able to keep everyone just because that's how the salary cap works, right? You some older guys who move on, like you and I had to do over the course of our careers. You bring other guys in. They've been pretty consistent over the past couple of years, especially under Fitzy, who I think's done a great job. What's your take on their 2026? How do you see it playing out?
Look, I think they'll be in the finals again, but I don't. There's just, and it's been like that for the last. There's just one little piece to their puzzle. I don't know what it is, but it just seems there's just something missing, and they'll play finals football, but I don't think they can get there.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're like, don't get me wrong, I love Fitzy. I had him at the Roosters as well. He was assistant coach when I was there, and I know how good a coach he is. But there's just something missing in their cattle, and I don't know what it is, and it's been missing for probably the last couple of years. That's going to get them over the line in finals. Yeah. So, whilst I think they will be in the finals, I just don't see them making the big dance.
And that's been like probably the story of their past couple of years. You know what I mean? They've been criticised for not beating top 8 teams and beating the lower end teams, but they've got to get to that position and go one more, because this is it. Like I said, I just don't think they'll be able to keep everyone, and that's a big challenge for the management this year to make sure that stuff doesn't affect.
There's going to be a lot of sides not being able to keep players with 2 sides coming in.
Obviously Perth still throwing out some cash, and then PNG the following year. And lastly, the Dragons. Obviously, we cover off all the teams that you've played for over the course of your career. Dragons. Look, I'm optimistic about the Dragons in the fact that their young forward pack is like, gosh, they're going to be
and that's the thing with them. Like I don't necessarily think they'll play finals this year, but they'll be close.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's off the back of their young forward pack. I mean, they had injuries. One of the Couchmans was injured last year. Dylan Egan was injured as well last year. They kind of remind me a little bit when I kind of first started the Broncos. If you remember the Broncos, they brought through all those young fellas like Alex Glenn and Josh Maguire, Andrew McCulloch, all these young fellas who ended up becoming mainstays and then playing in grand finals with the Broncos later on. They've got that similar feel. They're all kind of local juniors as well who really love the club, and you know what Flano's like as a coach. He's pretty hard. So he's going to do the right thing in getting them right for the season, and if they can stay injury free, I think they can upset a lot of sides. But the higher quality sides, I just think they get done by them through experience.
Yeah, I agree. I can see them taking a step forward this year. Obviously Mickey Ennis, who we both know on the coaching staff, running their attack as well, and Val Holmes has just praised Mickey all season around. I mean,
make you want to play bloody December.
You spoke about Mickey's pre-game speeches. Mate, I know the same. It makes you want to run through a wall, and I was like a halfback. I never wanted to do that in my life. And what about Atkinson? It comes across from the Dragons. Now he gets the keys to basically the castle. He's got a great opportunity in front of him to show what he can do now. Yeah,
and I think you saw during the trials as well, there's young Cade Reid there as well. And it's good to have someone like that coming through as well, because they've got to have some pressure on them. Like not just Daniel. Kyle has to have that pressure on him as well. They need to be able to keep performing. So I think having young fellas in the wings waiting to come through like that is only a benefit for that side. And I think now that Atkinson has his position, he's been told what he's doing, it'll allow him to excel.
And a couple of South Coast juniors in that Dragons team as well.
What's the Gerringong Lions?
Gerringong Lions.
Plenty of Gerringong Lions in there. I think there's 3 or 4.
How good's that?
So Hamish Stewart, his old boy was my PE teacher at school as well.
He's a big boy, mate. He came to our golf day in the off season. He's a big boy.
Yeah, well, you got both the Couchmans. You got Hamish Stewart, Dylan Egan. They're all kind of local juniors, and if they can hold on to them,
this is what I mean by being optimistic about their future. Like it may take. because they're still on that around that 25 game mark, all of them.
Yeah.
So you get to 50
get to
games,
50, and you know,
what I mean? That's
as a player what your routines are, how to prepare each week in, week out to get yourself the best possible chance to play well. And like you said, if they can get through this year and injury free, I still think they'll upset some teams throughout the year. But like I said, I think they'll only get done by experience at the back end.
Yeah, agree. All right, J-Moz, man, that will wrap it up there, brothers. Thanks heaps for coming on today, man. What do you?
Mate? I like the hair too.
You like it?
Way, yeah.
What are you doing today, by the way?
I'm going to play golf.
What's the handicap at the moment?
15.3.
Burglar. Absolutely.
Mate, I haven't shot over 36 points for about 3 months.
It's
been a pleasure, mate. Anytime.
Thanks, mate. It was fun. And thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next episode.